All right, let's just get right into it. When we think about pregnancy, our minds usually go to all the soft, gentle, Hallmark card stuff, right? But the biological reality, well, it's something else entirely. It's way more complex, incredibly dramatic, and honestly, it's pretty brutal. And this quote just, man, it absolutely nails it. We're not talking about a simple biological process here. We're talking about a full-blown epic saga. It's a story packed with conflict, fragile truces, and intense negotiations, all happening on a microscopic scale with the highest stakes you can possibly imagine. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to pull back the curtain on this beautiful and, yeah, kind of violent, but absolutely incredible biological journey that led to, well, to you. Okay, so our story doesn't start with a baby. It starts with an army. An army sent on a mission that is, for all intents and purposes, impossible. The journey of the sperm is nothing less than a deadly, high-stakes gauntlet. And when I say army, I am not kidding. This whole thing kicks off with tens of millions of competitors, all of them racing against the clock, and all of them facing almost certain annihilation. The sheer scale is just, it's staggering. You see, the female reproductive tract is basically a fortress. The first wave gets wiped out by a highly acidic environment. The few that survive that have to navigate this insane maze of protein nets. And the whole time, the mother's own immune cells are on patrol, literally hunting them down as foreign invaders. It is a ruthless filtering process designed to make sure only the absolute strongest even get a chance. So, what are the odds of actually making it through all that? They're just absurd. Less than 0.0001% of that initial army even gets close to the final prize. From tens of millions down to maybe a few dozen, the selection process is that intense. And for that tiny handful of survivors, the ultimate goal is finally in sight, the egg. And it is a titan. It is 10,000 times bigger than them. It's a colossal fortress, just loaded with all the resources needed to kickstart a new life. Now, the moment of contact. Because once a single sperm is accepted, everything changes. A totally new being is formed, and it has its own agenda, its own unique fight for survival. This is such a critical shift. The second those genes merge, that fertilized egg becomes its own distinct biological entity. It's not part of the mother anymore. Not really. It is something else, and now it has to fight for its own place in the world. And one of its very first moves is to specialize. The cells start dividing like crazy, and they split into two teams, each with a totally different mission. One group, the inner cells, that's the team destined to become the baby. That was you. The other team, the trophoblasts, well, they had a very different and much more temporary job to do. I mean, think about this for a second. You basically had a clone, a selfless twin whose entire existence was dedicated to one single purpose, building your life support system. These trophoblast cells were never going to be a person. Their only job was to make sure you survived. And then, once that job was done, they would just die. So this brand new being needs to find a home. And this next phase is one of the most dangerous of all, implanting into the uterine wall. And trust me, it is not a polite request. It's a tense, high-stakes negotiation. And this question, it really gets right to the heart of the conflict, doesn't it? Is the embryo politely asking for permission, or is it launching an all-out invasion? See, the mother's body has to conserve its resources, but the embryo needs to survive, no matter the cost. Their interests aren't perfectly aligned here. So how does this all play out? Through this incredibly complex chemical language. The embryo starts sending out signals, kind of like a resume, saying, hey, I'm here and I'm a quality candidate. The mother's body listens, it analyzes, and it decides. And if that chemical conversation isn't convincing, if the embryo doesn't seem viable, the negotiation fails. It's rejected. But the embryo isn't just talking. It is taking action. It sends out what are basically infiltration units to persuade or, brainwash the mother's cells into helping it latch on. It behaves almost like a human virus, all while guzzling this nutrient-rich fluid called uterine milk to fuel the invasion. It is fighting for its life. So, once it's attached, the battle is far from over. Now the embryo needs a secure pipeline to the mother's resources. And this is where those trophoblast cells get to work, building a fortress, a temporary organ unlike anything else in the body. This metaphor is just so powerful because it perfectly captures the brutal reality of this process. This is not a gentle connection. The trophoblasts literally drill into the mother's tissue. They destroy some of her cells to anchor themselves in so they can tap directly into her blood supply. It's an aggressive, invasive act, all in the service of creating a new life. And all through this invasion, the mother's body is constantly monitoring everything. Is the embryo metabolically noisy? Is it working too hard? That might signal genetic damage and trigger a rejection. Or is it too metabolically quiet, which could be a sign of weakness? That could also mean termination. It's a real Goldilocks situation. The embryo has to be just right. And the incredible result of all this work is the placenta. Now, it's so important to get this. The placenta is not part of the mother. It is a completely new organ that you grew for you. It was your fortress, your lifeline, your entire life support system, all built by your guardian angel clone. And what's wild is that there's this constant tension happening inside the fetus itself. The genes from the mother are programmed to kind of balance things, take care of the fetus, but also protect the mother. But the father's genes, they have one mission, and one mission only: the fetus's survival at all costs. Push for more resources, grow faster, take what you need. It's a genetic tug of war that lasts the entire pregnancy. So after all of this war and all of these compromises and all of this incredible construction, we finally get to the end result. The outcome of this entire biological sci-fi epic is you. And the sheer scale of this creation is almost impossible to wrap your head around. Over the next 9 months, the fetus increases its weight over 1 billion times. 1 billion! The amount of energy and resources and biological cooperation required for that is it's off the charts. And that really brings us to the core paradox of your existence, doesn't it? On one hand, you are the sole survivor of an impossibly lethal gauntlet, a fighter who invaded and built a fortress just to stay alive. And, on the other hand, you are the chosen one, accepted by the egg, and then nourished and protected by a mother's body that ultimately decided to give you this incredible gift of life. It's a pretty powerful thought to leave you with. You fought, you won, and you were chosen. The journey to even get here was a hardcore sci-fi epic. So when you really think about that, what does that make you now that you're here?